welcome. Podcast Batching Day, guest number 2. We have that coming up for you, Jared. So come on in, share, like, follow, subscribe, all the things. Let us know where you're joining us live from.
Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long, want you all night, watch 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 all night. Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Baby, now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, all your love, all your love. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, all your love, all your love. Tell me, why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long.
Hey, welcome to Podcast Batching Day. This is Batching Day for Straight Talk with Sally. That goes to all the good podcasting places all over the place. Today, we've already had a millionaire Kajabi earner on, and next, it's like the day of Kajabi. We've got Jared coming up real soon. If you missed it, you can go back and check it out. But we had the fabulous Chris on. Oh my goodness, he shared some really awesome gems around incomes and buckets and where to get your buckets and fill it full of money. So I would highly recommend, if you didn't check out that recording, go back. It's streaming, it did stream here on YouTube. Also, we've got the awesome Jared. I'm putting him in the hot seat this time. He interviewed me a week or two ago, and now it's my turn to do it in return. And then finally, we will also be having Sally Prosser coming in, who is a voice. She has that sexy voice that you see the TV presenters and all of that do. And she's huge over on TikTok. So we got a great lineup of guests. But if you don't want to miss any of our podcast batching days, any of our live stream anything, then make sure you go to sparklewithsally.com. Talk to Dr. Sparkle. She is super cute. Look at her. Now, I'm very shiny today. My office, it's nearly 40 degrees Celsius, which is like 104 Fahrenheit outside, which means it's even warmer in my office because every time I go to renovate my office, I am like, I'll spend that on Facebook ads instead. So I did say 2 years ago I don't want to do another hot summer in my office, and here we are 2 years later still having another hot summer in the office, but I'm still here showing up as we promised. Podcast Batching Day happens every 4 weeks or so because of the amazing work that our podcast manager Mar does. But our guest today, On this episode, we're going to be speaking with an entrepreneur. He is, like me, an entrepreneur at heart. He spent the first decade of his career running an agency, and he went through several offerings revolving around helping lots of startup businesses and small businesses grow. Now, after lots of failed startups of his own, he pivoted to focus on helping a better targeted market and helping people now scale at Kajabi, which I am Kajabi all the way, baby. And by building several key functions and focusing on customer success. And we love customers to have a great experience, right? So he lives with his wife. He's got 2 kids. Well, good on him. I got one. One was enough. He lives on that beautiful island of Hawaii, and he spends his spare time writing software and continuing his quest to become the most prolific jack of all trades and master of none. That's hilarious. Please help me, everyone, in welcoming our guest for today, Jared. Let's give him some sparkles. Woohoo!
I love the automatic sparkles. That's great.
I know, right? Hello. You are in the hot seat this time. You got to interview me, and it was really different being interviewed compared to normally being on the other side. So I invited you in to put you in the hot seat this time. But before we get stuck
now
into...
it's my turn.
It is. So before we get stuck into all of the questions that I've got here for you, why don't you share a little bit about your journey with people on, where you were to where you are now?
Yes, well, I mean, I could start, but we can go all the way back to really, really early stages. I don't know how much time we've got, but
as much as you like.
Oh boy, don't tell me that. This started out in grade school when I realized that the school store sold pencils for a lot higher price than what I could ultimately get a pack of pencils for at my local Walmart and resell them for. I wasn't that great at math, but I could do well enough to where I could realize that I could actually turn a pretty decent profit just by picking up a pack of pencils, selling them out of my backpack. One thing led to the next, and I had my own grade school empire selling cases of candy I would bring in and be selling my favorite. I don't know if they have these in Australia, but like Butterfinger BBs. They're like Butterfingers, but they're like circle, like little, like they're like marbles almost. Man, they were good. But anyhow, I don't even think they make them anymore. But selling out of my backpack eventually got to the point to where it caught on and I got in trouble for it. So, my entrepreneurial journey has been essentially ingrained into who I am. Probably the most relevant aspect of the journey, I kind of started at the boom of the internet. Like I was in grade school also building like physical computers when it was pretty unusual for you to have a computer in your household, which actually was my first entrepreneurial true like business, to where I was like really actually making some money. I was building computers. And that eventually led to, again, as you mentioned, as you gave kind of my bio, a lot of additional pivots along the way. Hardware went into software went into where eventually I started really focusing in on the small business and helping them with marketing at a period of time to where I think the vast majority of us were transitioning into understanding what in the heck this internet thing is. Now, of course, fast forward to today, it apparently stuck.
Yeah.
So beyond that, I did that for about a decade, a little more actually. I never did fully give it up because I couldn't. Ran through several of my own startups, as you mentioned, everything from like offline, like greeting card style businesses to a television show at one point, which went on for several years, to my own software that I wrote and everything in between. Eventually I was just looking for kind of that next step, and I felt that I had hit maybe the ceiling in terms of where I wanted to take my business. Mm-hmm. And that's like a really hard thing for an entrepreneur to reconcile. So I had this opportunity to become a part of Kajabi, And Kajabi conveniently caters to that same customer base. It's all my people. And so I'm like, I think this is some place that I could actually thrive.
Yeah.
So that is the, believe it or not, the fast version of my
Yeah.
story of how I became an entrepreneur and ultimately ended up where I am today, overseeing customer service at Kajabi.
That is awesome. So I did the same thing. I sold things on the school playground too.
And I lost your audio. Oh no.
Oh, no.
Let me pull up my backup. I think
Ah,
it's might be me. I'm ready for live though.
Yeah, that's all good. Look, he's pulling up his backup. Always good to have a backup plan. Are we back? Hello?
Let's see if I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I'm gonna change my audio.
It looks like it's okay. I can hear him. What about out there on the live stream? Can you hear us? Because it's telling me I'm all good. All right.
I'm gonna refresh.
He coming back. He'll be back. Wow. Everyone can hear us. Excellent. Thank you, Melissa Mendoza. I told you this will be like a forever thing now, love. That's the way I'm going to refer to you. Here we go, Jared.
Are you back?
We're back? Yes.
Oh, I can hear you over here.
Ah,
I can hear you somewhere.
Hey, the joys of live. Yay. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
I don't know which microphone I'm coming through. I know I have you in my bigger headphones.
I think you're coming through your headset, maybe. Yeah.
Microphone. Yes.
And the microphone.
Oh my goodness.
And the good. Everyone out there can hear both of us. It's just you can't hear me. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
You can hear me now?
I can hear you now through. Yeah, I can hear you through my headphones. I'm just gonna look like a crazy person.
Okay. Excellent.
Let's see if I can do this in such a way that actually is a little bit less.
Oh, so one has the microphone. Oh, it does too. One has the microphone and one is the sound. That's hilarious.
Yeah, this one.
Best podcast ever.
You've ever wondered if this is edited? Yeah.
Right. It's 100% live right now. 100% live. Okay, this is how we roll in the Sparkle world. Imperfect action at its best right now. Awesome. All right. Well, I was sharing with you that I sold things on the school playground too. So.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What did you sell?
I used to go to the local Sunday market, and my grandparents had a market stand, and I would walk around the market because they would get there super early, and I would buy things, right, that I thought I could sell for more. And then I would bring them back and sell them on the playground, the table at the market. But then I would find like jewelry, and there were these really cool things back in the 80s called yin yang bands that you would wear. And I would sell them on the playground. And I figure, I think I bought them for like 20 cents each. And if it was one color, it was $1, two colors, $2, three colors, $3, same thing, just same size, everything. But value, add an extra color, add an extra $1. So I sold a few hundred of those on the school playground. I didn't do the pencil thing or anything, but I used to find jewelry and all sorts of things, and make money by buying things from the local market. So
probably picked the right things. If you were selling jewelry, I imagine you turned a bigger profit than I did with pencils.
Yeah. But it sounds like a lot of similar things, like a lot of failed attempts at things. And then interesting though, like as an entrepreneur at heart, I'm curious, like what is it like at Kajabi? I couldn't work for somebody, right? That's my thing. Like I have to be the boss. So what is that like when it comes to Kajabi? I mean, I love Kajabi, and Megan and I, we get on like a house on fire. Like you were, when you first met me, you're like, you would get on with Megan. And I'm like, I know her. We talk.
I know.
So yeah. Tell me about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, Kajabi, I think, has a tendency to attract people that it just kind of fits the ethos. Like one of the biggest, commonalities that I find with Kajabi is like the community of entrepreneurship that we create. Entrepreneurship is a very lonely endeavor for a lot of us. There's no way for you to, like, as I go back in time, like there were no calibration points for me to say, like, was this good? Was this bad? Is this normal? Is this unusual? And like, what the one thing, not the one thing, a lot of things, but one of the like the bigger things that I think Kajabi does really well is it creates a community around people who are on similar journeys. And so of course we have that within our customer base, but I think on that note, it definitely does attract a certain crowd who's also interested in working at the, at the company. So we have several like-minded people. Not everyone, like we have people from all over, every type of background that you can imagine, like everything from like humongous corporations to, people who started, like myself, who started out in the entrepreneurial world. So yeah, I guess it's still a day job. You still have a boss, and there's still different things, which is, it's not the easiest thing for anyone, who's been on the other side to deal with. But there are also a lot of things that are kind of nice. Like, I mean, it's hard to scrape over the whole, like the paycheck that just happens to show up, you know.
Yes, I
And even
know.
just like,
That's it.
yeah, like taking a day off. Like I think of like the first like practically decade, and I remember like my wife and I on our anniversary we went to Las Vegas, and like we're down on the strip, and I'm getting a call and looking at an email, I'm running back up to my hotel room, which is like, if you probably, I guess you probably don't go to Vegas when you live in Australia, but like it's a journey. Like it's from the hotel lobby to your room, it can be like 5 miles. So but anyhow, like
Yeah,
that's definitely,
I would see that, yeah, getting that paycheck every week or every other week, and yeah, having those dedicated holidays where you can switch off would definitely be nice. And most entrepreneurs and business owners don't pay themselves first, right? They pay their staff,
Yep.
they pay for their software, and usually they're the last people to actually get paid. So yeah, that is nice to be able to see that. But the Kajabi community, like you said, is amazing. Like, I'm in the communities. I love to talk to all the people in the communities. I've made friends with, you guys at head office and all the things too. It's such, I guess, outside of the software itself, it's something that's very amazing how so many of us all can still come together, even though some of us are even in the same industry, and continue to support each other. And, the community itself is so supportive as well. People are always in there helping, answering questions, without wanting anything back in return other than to help, which is, it's a real credit to the community that Kajabi has really built. I mean, I just love it. So much so that I built my business around it.
I love it. I'm glad you did.
So am I. I was just looking at the partner board, and I'm on the partner board leaderboard at the moment. I'm like,
Oh,
woo!
congratulations. That's huge.
I know, right? It's so good. Like, it's not very often I get to see that, but it was really nice to see my name up there. So we have a bit of a topic to cover today, and let me go to your topic. So today we're going to be talking about customer-driven growth. So tell me, Jared, what is customer-driven growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I wonder how anyone is going to take me serious when I look like an absolute madman with 2 headsets.
And for those listening on the podcast, you seriously have to go and find this episode on YouTube and look at all the
Yes.
shenanigans going on here. I'm taking you seriously. Okay.
Well, if nothing else, like just to see like the colors, like, because that was the one thing that you do miss out if you're not seeing the video, is like you've got all the colors in the hair and the clothes, and I've got all the colors in the background.
I
So,
know,
like,
I love
we're
your
kind of-
background. So
yeah,
good.
we're I think we blend really well here. Back to customer-driven growth. um, So first of all, there are a lot of different philosophies in the same way we might talk about other, like say, product-driven growth. There's a different approach or a different description that you might get depending upon who you ask. But the way I think about customer-driven growth actually is rooted back to my entrepreneurial journey. Like, and you can actually even take this all the way back to selling on the grade school, the recess playground. It started with pencils. But I think the obvious, I guess, caveat with the pencils is like they're just a tool for school. Yeah, they're a little bit cheaper, but like was anyone getting all that excited about it? No, not really. Like, yeah, they like the idea that they could maybe save a quarter because they could then use that quarter for a chocolate milk ticket or, something else, so they could buy something else that the school store had that maybe I didn't. So the general philosophy around it is listening to your customers and using that as a driver for growth for your business.
Yeah, really well said. In a previous interview, we were actually talking very much around that listening and how important it is because, when we all do start in business, it's sales and marketing, sales and marketing. But eventually, your customers are the ones that are paying, and you really have to create like a wow experience, right? And what better way than to ask your customers?
Absolutely, and it's something that you can do out the gate. Like, it doesn't have to be like an eventual thing. Like, I think back to a different phase of my entrepreneurial journey when I took on my first website client, and the process there, like, it was essentially one to one because I fell into it. I didn't even intend to like massively promote that service and do it at any scale. However, once I kind of got into the flow, I'm like, hey, this is something I can do, and it's an area I can add a lot of value. Um, I kind of was naturally inquisitive, I guess. I was much younger, and I just be like, so what else would you like? What else would you give me money? Because I was kind of also like just a little bit surprised every time, and I hate to admit this, but like every time someone wrote me a check, I would get that in the mail, and I'd just be like, holy cow, they sent me,
That's like now we don't get the check, but I wake in the morning to like a ding, and I'm like, oh, yeah, reoccurring payment. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So it started, at least for me, like very, very early on, just even in the very beginning stages. And actually, I think probably more importantly, one of the things that I learned is it actually can start prior to even having a business. Like sometimes, in fact, not even sometimes, I think all the time. And I'm gonna put my stake in the sand here, and I'm sure people will have a disagreement somewhere, but if you ask your customers what they want prior to going through any of the motions that you might otherwise, like before you create the business cards, the logo, the website, the domain name, any other aspect of that, like those are the businesses that stick around. And that's like really the most foundational element of that customer driven growth is learning what your customers or even your potential customers, seeing if there is a potential customer base for whatever it is that you want to offer.
That's it. Like, I love that. Listening and asking. You ask, but then listen, like really listen to what they're saying. And we talk about chunking it down by say why and tell me more as well, because sometimes they'll give you the surface level things, right, of what they want, but then you want to get deeper than that. And at the end of the day, all of us who have a business, or it's all to help somebody in some way, even if it is just giving them a pencil on the school ground so that they can go and get that chocolate chip cookie instead, right? Like save that few cents. So I love that. What about, so we're talking about, communicating with our customers. What are some of the ways that we can communicate effectively with our customers?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, do it. like if there's anything, I don't want to ruin the live stream because I realize there are several people watching this live. But like for anyone listening, maybe to the recording, just hit pause right now. Stop this. Like if you have customers or you have prospective customers, hit pause on this right now. Well, actually, wait. Let me finish my statement so you know what to do. Don't hit pause until afterwards. um, get on the phone with a customer. Like get on the phone with someone you can there's zero reason for you not to do this right now because you will learn something meaningful. So number one is start, but I think number two is curiosity. Like that is such a powerful tool. And curiosity without a motive is probably a layer I would add to that, because like as you were mentioning there, Sally, like listening. Sometimes I think when we claim we're listening, we're really just listening for what we want to hear. But the reality of it is if we're listening with a preconceived notion or a motive, like we're never going to hear the things that actually matter to us. Um, so jumping in there with curiosity is another huge opportunity. And I'm thinking about this again from the lens of like very one-to-one. Of course, this changes. Like if I were to fast forward to today, as you know, we're talking about Kajabi, where we have thousands upon thousands of customers. We can go into that more if you'd like. But again, call a customer, get on the phone with them, call a prospective customer, and just start listening with curiosity, figuring out what it is that you do that adds value to them.
Yeah, I love that. Just start and curiosity. But I really love how you said without a motive, because then you're open and more receptive to what's being said rather than having that preconceived idea of what you're wanting them to say. I do want to know more about how you do it in a larger forum, because Kajabi does, and we teach people to really scale their businesses. They need to move out of one-to-one and into groups, because then, one, we want them to create a signature method inside of Kajabi, because then they're no longer selling them, they're selling it as a product, but also to go to group. And I truly believe group is more powerful than one-on-one. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about how do you sort of arrange that type of curiosity communication within a larger group setting.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a couple different ways, and I think both have the ups and downs associated with each of them. But one of the first things that I think, if you are at a point to where you're beyond the point to where the one-to-one is really going to be outrageously valuable. I don't know that there's a world where like I would wipe that out completely. You got to have that one-to-one at least once in a while. But the next thing that we do at Kajabi, we have a customer advisory board, which is a selected group of people that we hope and we try to deliberately choose to represent as broad of a variety of our customer base as we possibly can. So like we want to make sure that we're representing different success criteria, because we do have customers who are just in that 0 to 1 phase. We have customers who have made 7, 8, 9 figures on the platform. So we try to cover the basis to ensure that we have a group that's very representative of our customer base as a whole, to help guide the conversation. And then the other area that is really close to my heart, because I got to build this program from the ground up, is our Voice of Customer program. It's really, truly focused on ensuring that we do not just allow one noisy group to stand out, because like as you can imagine, there's like the squeaky wheel syndrome that slips in, and you get a few people who are just a little bit more motivated to let you know when they don't like something or when they really want something. So that Voice of Customer program is the balance, and what that does is it takes all of those inputs, and we look at it from more of a data-driven perspective. Now, of course, in every business, this might look a little bit different. For us, we look at channels such as support ticket volume. So when people write in and have a complaint, what that allows us to do is understand things that maybe they wouldn't even know how to ask for. They may it's not going to show up on a feature request, or it's not going to show up in some of the other venues that we may be looking. But there's something that needs to happen because they're actually calling in with a problem, and that's one of the primary areas, amongst other things, we bring into the Voice of Customer program.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah, having those support tickets too, it can kind of squash the squeaky wheel as well if it's delivered privately. That then the management teams and that can look at and decide, is it important, and kind of give it a hierarchy as well. So tell me a little bit more about the customer advisory group. These are actually Kajabi users that are coming in and sharing their experiences across all the different spectrums. That's really cool.
Yeah, so again, that group represents as much as possible a really strong range of our customer profiles. And what we do is we meet regularly. Sometimes we meet with a very specific question in mind. So like, let's say we're considering spinning up a new development or a new product, and we want to get some insights on how that might appeal to this particular customer base. That's where it goes first. Is that advisory board is a good place to just kind of get that initial feedback. So you can think of it as almost like sometimes it's a beta testing group. Sometimes it's the beta testing group before there's even a beta available, because like we're not even going to start building something until like we, kind of sanity check that against a group of people who can provide us some like really good counsel on whether we're even remotely in the ballpark. Other times, like this could even include things like such as policy, like what when and when not do we provide a refund, like things like that maybe are entirely irrelevant. Like we also want to, like as a company, that customer centricity is our number one core value. Like it's only obvious that we should have customers involved in virtually every decision that we make. And so like we're talking about things outside of just the scope of the product. Like we will also want to understand their thoughts on even just a philosophy around our business.
Yeah, and all our businesses, well, if you run a good business, your businesses are based around our individual values and our beliefs and our philosophies. So the things that make us us. The human part comes into like a larger corporation like Kajabi. It starts with people, right? And I love that, you and Kajabi are really focused on serving customers. And I have to say, out of all of the softwares that I've used, what I've loved most about Kajabi is the support. Like, I have literally been talking within 5 minutes of finding a problem I couldn't fix, and I jump onto the help chat and somebody's helping me fix it, or going into the back end and, oh, yeah, we figured that out for you, it's fixed. Or I've even had one guy, he's like, let's just jump into Zoom, right? And
Yep.
And that was just through the normal help thing. He thought it was just easier. Let's just jump into Zoom. Quicker, backwards and forwards. And I would have to say, it's out of all the software that I use, it has the best customer support. It's so instant, and it generally always fixes my problem. And that's the biggest part. And I've tested a lot of software, but nothing compares to that customer support that you guys offer. So yeah, I think it's
you're
amazing.
melting my heart, Sally.
Oh.
Just keep going with this. Just keep going. Like, I'll just sit here and listen.
Well, it truly is. I mean, sure, I've built my business around it, but I've chosen software that also has integrity and matches my values. It keeps a very family-driven, very tight-knit partner community as well. And those two major pieces of software are like the beating heart of what I do. But their values are very much aligned with what I do. And every single key person I meet, you, Megan, and all the fun people, all very easy to talk to, very similar in, the way we view the world. And yeah, I could get off my high horse, but I do love Kajabi so much. All right, another question for you here. So some people get stuck, right? They know they need to talk to people, right? But there's roadblocks that are stopping them. And it could be in reaching out, but also things that will stop them from growth. So do you have any tips for those people that are a little scared around communicating with their customers and how to actually get over those roadblocks?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go back to what I said earlier, and that's pause, start, take a step. Like, how you lay down like that first brick, like you will never build a structure. Like it all starts with laying down one brick to build the foundation, to start that journey. So like absent of that, like we don't even have a conversation. But of course, like, I also understand as an entrepreneur, like there are a million things, especially like, early on, but even throughout the journey, there's always a million things for you to be spending your time on, like a million priorities, like no question. Like most of us we're CEO, CFO, COO, CMO,
my goodness, 100%, all the hats. And all the headphones too, apparently, today.
Yeah, this will be the one time, well, maybe all the time, I don't know, where I am just like, it's dreadful that this is on video and not audio only and liveable. But
That's how we
In any
roll
case.
here. We're all about imperfect action. We even have like cards that we give people that says imperfect action. So you're like totally.
That's why I was invited on.
That's it.
Oh my goodness. As entrepreneurs, we are incredibly stretched. We're spending our time everywhere. So I think the next thing is just like one like is thinking about the value that it can actually drive. I see it as a very high value task. Like, especially depending upon like what you're putting it up against. Like naturally I can't create your priority list for you, but the one thing I can do is tell you that it does need to be a priority and does need to be on your task list, regardless of where you are at. I can tell you both from the standpoint of scaling my own business as well as, where I'm at today with Kajabi. Like if we do not solve our customers' problems, not only do we not grow, we don't stay in business. Like we shut down, which is bad for all of us. So this is one of those tasks that you cannot let slide by. Just like any other task, put it on the calendar. Like I'll call out and shout out our CPO and president at Kajabi. Not everyone does this. Like, let me tell you this. Like, granted, my inside the corporate world experience is fairly limited to just Kajabi, but I know that most CPOs don't do this, and I have a lot of respect for our CPO for doing this. Is every single week, he has a slot on his calendar. He meets with a customer for an hour once a week. Like, he's
That
a
is
really
awesome.
busy guy. It's a really big company. If he can do it, like, I know we're all busy, but all of us can find some time to do it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And putting that time in and the fact that he slots it in his calendar. And everyone listening out there, I think that's a really, really good tip. Like we're focusing on so many things, but when we block things out, it's supposed to help you do that thing. And we practice message mining quite a lot inside of our community where we're constantly asking questions. So we want to talk to people before they buy, why they didn't buy, and then why they did buy. And we make a habit of that. Usually, every 3 to 6 months we'll do and block out time to do that, to speak to them. One, to hear, why did they even say yes to talking to us? Second, why didn't they buy? What was the thing that was stopping them? And then third, why did they? And then those people that have been working with us for a while, we actually review them every 90, 180 and 270 days. Like it's a regular thing that goes out. And I think that's so valuable. I mean, talking about growth itself, there's lots of places where people can get stuck. What are some common sort of places where you would see people get stuck when it comes to growth?
Yeah, I mean, just keeping it on the theme of customer-driven growth, it's I think one of the greatest commonalities as a business grows is you actually begin to lose touch with your customers. You hit these plateaus, if you will, and I think it's everyone goes into this very, very well intentioned. It's not that anyone is deliberately deciding like I don't care about my customers anymore or I don't want to listen to my customers, but like things just move on. Like you get into the business and you're working so much on the business that you don't actually think about the business from the 30,000 foot view that you need to. So probably the most common, I guess, blocker there is just like is actually the growth itself. Actually, you hit that point in which your scale kind of becomes the enemy, and you have to find sometimes, like we talked about earlier, you have to find a new way to listen to your customers because those organic, natural conversations that you just naturally have them out the gate when you have a few customers, like they just don't happen as often, and it's not as easy to keep a pulse. Like imagine once you add on team members and there's layers in between you and your customer, that's another huge sticking point, because as soon as you're not the person who's picking up the phone, or whether it's from the sales process to the support process, no matter where, if you're not the one on the phone, you just miss out on that. So
yeah, I get that. We now have multiple experts inside of the Sparkle world. And one thing we've actually added into our orientation when we onboard new clients is if a team member says it, it's like I've said it. Because there was this transition of, I'll just wait till Sally answers. And I'm like, no, just keep going. Like, my team are well trained. They know the methods. And if they don't know the answer, they'll ask before they'll give the answer. And I also share with them, never be scared to say, I don't know that, but let me find out. And so that was a growth thing for us, is starting to move away from you're buying Sally to now you're buying like this whole team of people, and being able to step back and know that my clients still feel supported. And I think that was part of growth, finding a team of people who I could trust to give answers on behalf of me. And scaling sucks, I can tell you. You want it to go faster and it never does, right? It just never goes as fast as you want it to. And the entrepreneurial game is a long, it's not a sprint. Like, yeah, sure, success loves speed and we pay for get leads faster, but it's a long journey, right? The unicorns that you might see that made $1 million overnight, I'm like, what were you doing for 10 years before you got there?
Yep.
That's what I want to know, right?
You touched on a really good point, though, too, there. When you have that team, like, I have pretty strong opinions on this. Like, when you talk about, I know we're talking about customer-driven growth, but I also think of just customer centricity as a whole, as a growth lever. But customer centricity is not about, like, it's not about your team member reaching out to Sally to say, hey, can I do this? It's about empowering your team with the right frameworks to ensure that your customers' needs are met. Like, in fact, like, if speaking from the context of Kajabi, if someone has to go to the CEO of the company, or even really if they have to come to me to get the answer and my team was not empowered to make the right decision that I would have made in that situation, something's off. Like, we didn't do something right. So that customer driven growth, really, it's not going to come, like, especially once you have the team, unless you're empowering them to make those customer centric decisions.
Yeah, exactly. You need to, like, we talking about team, we let our team, like, we pay them per hour, right? But I don't track them. I don't tell them what time to start and what time to finish. So they kind of have this like internal intrapreneur thing going on inside of our business, but it's on them always. I want all of my team members to feel like it's their business, because at the end of the day it is, right? It pays their bills, it puts food on their tables. If the business does well, there's bonuses and presents, and empowering your team and finding them with the same values. Like, I didn't realize how important that was when I first started. And even aligning myself with, a company like yours, the values align as well. I think that's why not only it's fabulous software, but the values of the company as well as the values of the team. And I feel that, like, Kajabi and Keep are both my partners in business, because they support my clients. I, bring them clients, we build for them, we, make their life easier for those that aren't tech savvy. But the support and the team, like, I feel like Kajabi is on my team. Yeah, like, and the same with Keep, which is so cool.
We are.
Yes, yeah. All right, this is the sparkle question time, where we move away from the topic and we want to learn a little bit more about you. So, when you were young, what did you want to be? Like, what was the first thing you thought of when you were young? Oh, when I grow up, I want to be what?
I want to be someone wearing 4 sets of headphones during a live interview. And as you can see, I'm halfway there.
Halfway there. Like, you've nearly made that on your bucket list. Next time we'll try for that one. We'll get you back.
When I was really little, I think I wouldn't have known how to articulate it. But I would have said an entrepreneur. Like, the funny story is actually the very first job that I ever prescribed for myself. I think I was like 2, and I told my mom I wanted to be a quarter maker, because, like, quarters were the greatest. I don't know, they probably don't have them in Australia, but in the United States, like, it's a quarter of a dollar. It's a little coin, but, like, to me that was a huge denomination. Like, that could buy me something pretty meaningful at the grocery store. So I thought, like, there must be a job somewhere where you got to make quarters, and I figured I could, like, fill my pockets on the way out, as a 2-year-old. But, it's funny too, like, the other day I was actually pondering, just as always, you ponder your life, and I'm going, I got everything that I asked for when I was younger. Like I've always been the type of person that wanted to serve others, and like whether I'm doing that through like giving people candy at recess, or whether I'm working like I am today, where I get to serve thousands upon thousands of customers that I genuinely love, even those that I haven't met yet. Like I haven't met one yet that I didn't like. So um, I think that really keeps me going. And like I would have never labeled it like as a particular job. I would have just like, I want to be of service to people. Like that's my ethos.
Yeah. Well, that sort of negates the next question I was going to ask. How does it show up for you today? Because you just answered that.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, right? Like
I
you
have
knew
a
it was
habit of
coming
that.
or something. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm having such a good time. All right, my next question for you. What about, are you a reader or a listener when it comes to consuming knowledge? Do you read books, or do you prefer to are you an Audible subscriber? Or do you do a bit of both?
Both.
Yeah.
And actually, ironically enough, this is the best answer for that question. I do both at the same time. Sometimes I'll buy the actual book and Audible, and I'll listen and read together, because my comprehension, like when it comes to doing one or the other, doesn't quite work. So if I do both, it actually works pretty well, and I comprehend everything.
Are you a 2x listener, or a 1.5 or 1.75 when you listen?
Oh, I wish, but I'm like a read it 2x times. I read the paragraph and I have to go start at the beginning, because like I have really great comprehension, but it takes me a long time to I really have to be very thoughtful about what I'm reading. So unfortunately, I'm like a negative 2x, because I have to read it 2x.
I don't read, it doesn't go in when I read. I'll read and I'm like, I don't know what I just read. But if I listen, I comprehend. So I'm always curious how people consume information. But in regards to books, what would be 3 that have, those that come to mind that have kind of inspired you in life or business?
Yeah, I mean, well, this one's funny. You asked me 3 times, and I'll probably give you 3 different answers, because there's so many.
Yeah. And it depends on the day, the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one for sure that will always be on the list, which I actually keep on my desk, right in front of me. I keep a small, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but it's a miniature copy of How to Win Friends and Influence by Dale Carnegie.
Yes, that comes up very often, very, very often. I have mine.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. We talked about that one.
Yeah, we did.
So that one's always on the list, no matter what. How to Win Friends and Influence by Dale Carnegie. Some of the others that come to mind are you got to live the 4-hour work week. I think it almost started a revolution of entrepreneurship and causing
100%.
people to rethink what was possible.
Yeah, working smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny. What's funny about that is I actually went the opposite direction. I was already an entrepreneur when I read that, and for some reason I ended up in this position. But apparently my comprehension wasn't that great. I need to read it 3 or 4 more times. And then another one that I think is at the top of my list, and it's maybe a little bit more applicable to my world today, but I think still very, very applicable to everyone. It's called Radical Candor. It's by Kim Scott. She was CEO of Google, I believe, and Facebook. It's all about the tagline. I don't know. I'll keep it PG here. The tagline is becoming an incredible boss without becoming a bleep. And so I don't know if we can say the actual
in the Sparkle word. We totally can. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess people have got the point, but I think the beauty behind that book is it talks just really about effective communication overall, and there's things that I've read in Radical Candor that I use in my marriage or with my children, for parenting purposes, and so really I think no matter whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in a corporate job, no matter where you are, working with people, which is I guess also why How to Win Friends and Influence is on the top of my list. Working with people is the most valuable skill set that you will ever have. And so anything that helps us work together better is ultimately going to be at the top of my list. And that's why Radical Candor is on the list too.
I always love that question. It seems to be one that I can never not do because it always gives me a reading list of things to do. And I hadn't heard about that one. So that one's definitely added to my list. I had a guest earlier today. I've already got another one called Blue Ocean. I've never read that one. So I'm getting every podcast batching day I walk away with my next, lot of Audible books that I'm going to get. So I'm going to add that one definitely to the list because, it's always being open to learn and how to communicate well and from a heart-centered space as well where, you understand people. And I love how you said that it also works in your marriage and how you speak to your children and things like that. So now I'm really intrigued about that book. All right.
Yeah.
So the last sparkle question for you is if you were sitting here, which you actually were a couple of weeks ago interviewing me, but if you were me interviewing you, what would have been a question that you would have asked yourself that I didn't?
Oh, well, I mean, I actually did this, so I could answer this literally, but no, I think if I were to flip the script, what would I do? I'm actually having to think about this one a little bit. I loved all of the questions that we talked about. I would say, would maybe ask, I'm always interested in understanding people's why, and maybe that's just me. That's
beautiful.
I'm interested in the why.
Every time I do this, I just sit and I wait because it takes a while every time for someone to think of the thing. And right, it's such a great question that we love to ask. But tell me your why. I do want to know. What is your why?
All right. Well, I mean, I kind of revealed it earlier when I told you, when I pre-answered the next question for you, is that my ethos is about serving people. It's just, I don't know, I can't pull it out of me. I've just always been that way. And so, I think the nice part about that is no matter what I'm doing, I think there's I've done stuff with nonprofits in the past. I've done things in a number of work, especially when I had my agency, working with every type of business that you can imagine. That commonality of serving others and providing value is always there for me, and it's such a fulfilling part of everything that I do. If I feel like I am of service and helping someone out, I am.
I swear, we're almost wearing the same suit, right?
I think so.
Childhood entrepreneur. I remember when I realized that I was put on this planet to serve and help others. I actually had a transformational moment at a conference where I was listening to this woman, Valerie Burton, speak. And she was talking about, wanting to help others and knowing that if she wanted to get on the Oprah show, she had to show up and be vulnerable and go out wide, which means there's going to be more people that don't like you. But then she made me write in a book and I was literally shaking and ugly crying at the same time that I just want to help and inspire people. And it just seems like we've just kind of walked the same path, selling things on the school ground, want to inspire, want to help, failed entrepreneurial, trials. And there's a lot of, synergy between the two of us. And I don't know, just there's a great connection and I love chatting with you. I think after we finished our last interview, I'm like, I've got to have you on my show now because I had so much fun. And I think, we connect and we both have that genuine serve of others. Like I always say, I might put my prices up, but it's not because I want to take home more money. It's because I want to make my customers have more things, more experts, more specialties, more I don't get a pay rise when the price goes up in my program. It's to make the customers happier with more stuff. I need to get better at swag. Kajabi is amazing at swag, right? I love my daughter has every time all my t-shirts, my jumpers, my puffer jacket, all the things she wears them. She loves them. I'm like, have them, baby. So she's always rocking the Kajabi jackets and t-shirts and. Being one of the first Kajabi heroes when they first started that hero thing and getting us to take photos and send it in with the hero t-shirt, they're just little things you can do for your customers to really put a smile on their face, but then walk around with all the Kajabi stuff on too doesn't hurt either. All right, here's a question that my ma will be like highlighting, going, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. So you have to say this sentence, okay? So you've got to say, hi, my name is Jared and I sparkle because, and then complete the sentence.
Oh, how do I complete the sentence? It's certainly not my wardrobe. It's certainly not my technical situation going on here. um, what are some of the previous guests' answers to this question?
Oh,
Or do I not get that info?
You don't get that information. You just got to say, hi, my name is Jared and I sparkle because I've got a feeling why my team have put this on the list and it hasn't happened yet. But I think it's because they're going to do a big mashup of it because it's a branded thing, right? And they'll end up with all of the podcast guests. So whatever comes to mind and is on the tip of your tongue, it's all good. There is no wrong answer here.
Hi, my name is Jared, and I sparkle because I love entrepreneurship.
Yes, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, again, catching up with you. We need to do this more often, and I'm sure there are many conversations we could have around so many different topics. Thank you for sharing some behind-the-scenes things of, how Kajabi run their business, and I was fascinated by that customer advisory group I thought that was really, really interesting to hear that, that whole bigger spectrum that you have from, the startups right through to the multi-million-dollar earners. So, and then just your wisdom and fun and all the crazy that's going on in your head right now too, right?
Literally.
Ma just said you sparkle because of your 2 headphones, right? But next time we're going for 3, and maybe the time after that we'll go for 4. Why not? Why not? We're on a mission.
Why not? It's one of those life goals.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jared. For everyone out there tuning in, we are not yet done. But Jared, look, I'm sure you're out there on the socials. Where can people find you if they want to come check out you, even outside of Kajabi, want to hang out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best place is LinkedIn. That's where I'm probably most active, though I'm not like crazy social active, but definitely love to connect with anyone who's interested, especially all you entrepreneurs. You're my favorite. Yeah. Thank you, Sally, for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, we've still got one more episode to go. I'm making it. My camera has not died in the heat. Whoa. I'm like, it's going to die any moment now. We still have a few more guests lined up for you coming. Oh, one more. The beautiful Sally. That's an amazing name, right? She must be amazing if her name is Sally. Sally Prosser will be up real soon. But thank you so much to Jared for joining us on this middle of the day. For me, probably late afternoon, evening for you. As always, guys, never let anyone dull your sparkle. And I'll see you in 1 hour from now.
Change my mind. Your head